What's good, YouTube? It's your boy cbmarcus, and we are back with a brand new draft league for the channel. We got an invitation from Automatic to be one of the 8 coaches in this season of the Eon World Tournament, and you're damn right that I took the opportunity to do this, because the premise is really interesting. Basically, the EWT is going to be used as a platform for experimentation, and not only with the coaches, because the coaches, I think, are not necessarily in the Wi-Fi spotlight that are going to be participating in this tournament, but also with a new format. You know, as Gen 8 is starting to die down a little bit, and as we start to focus on Gen 9, I think it's a good opportunity to be able to come up with new formats that we can all enjoy, and maybe we keep some of those going into Gen 9. So with the format being kind of discussed there, I'll explain the format real quick, but Automatic does have a video on it. Basically, it's pretty simple. There's 8 coaches, and we're going to be doing playoffs. There's going to be 3 brackets. So there's going to be quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. And then after, one round of those, there's going to be 2 more rounds. But the stipulations are that we have to choose different teams for every single game. And the mons can't overlap. So let's say for round 1, I want to use a team with a landorus-t. I'm not going to be able to do that once I get eliminated or win finals or something like that, and it moves on to the next round. So those are the only stipulations for the teams. It was a free draft, so I could basically pick all 3 teams by hand. And so with that being said, I made 3 weather teams. I did sun, I did sand, and I did rain. And I polled you guys on Twitter. You guys want to see the sun team first. So without further ado, let's check out the sun team. I'm going to be revealing these mons in little groups of 3 or 2. And so without further ado, this is the first row. Basically, 2 of these 3 mons, I would say indirectly, get boosted by sun. The sun, maybe core, will be revealed in the next row. But these were basically the heavy hitters going into the draft. I wanted the sun team to be a little bit hands-off. And I think starting off with Clangorous Soul Kommo-o as well as G-Darm is insane. They both benefit from the sun in the sense that their fire moves get boosted, but also for the Kommo-o, they do get to dodge hurricanes more often because that hurricane chance is lower to 50%. We also have the Metagross, which obviously doesn't really like to be taking those sun boosted fire moves. That being said, I think it's a really solid steel type here, and Heat Train was a little bit too expensive, and it wasn't really something that I wanted to toy around with. I also had been looking at my previous draft games from 2015 when I started, and apparently I really liked Metagross. So I decided to pick this thing up. It's going to be pretty solid steel type, and it's going to be great psychic type too, the other type. Okay, here's the Sun Core now. We got the Torkoal, we got the Venu, and we got the Azu, the Fire Water Grass Core here. Torkoal is going to be obviously the setter. Being able to get up rocks really reliably and spin is going to be really nice for keeping up some momentum. There's also the Venu, which is going to be the Sun Abuser, of course. Just being able to throw off maybe Life Orb Sludge Bombs or Weather Balls, Earth Powers, or Giga Drains too is really nice. It could run Stab with like Growth or something, plus a coverage move. It could run Special. Maybe it can run Physical one week. I don't know. But for 11 points and 8 points respectively, I think this is a really cheap Sun Core that we could just build around. Azu maybe doesn't seem like it fits well with Sun, but I feel like personally it's overlooked in terms of not only just mons that could be used in Sun, but also just water types in general, and fairies, I guess. Because it's obviously not that, that super supportive fairy that a lot of the good fairies like to be. That being said, Azu, it does get thick fat, so it can take those sun hits, just in case we want to run sun and there's maybe a mon that can abuse. It can also deal with Curum, which sun just doesn't like dealing with, because thick fat, I think, means that it takes about 30-ish% from like a sub-Curum, which I think is really, really cool. We can also run like Perish Trap or Scald Toxic or Copycat or something like that. So I think there's a lot of options, and not only that, we have a full-on Azu with huge power, which can just nuke stuff entirely. So I think that's really cool just to have those options in a water type. There's obviously the Volcanion there, but I didn't really want to accumulate those ground weaknesses super fast, and Volcanion's been a mon that I've used in the past pretty recently, so I just want to try something new. Azu I've actually only used a couple times, so just getting back to this mon is going to be super fun. Up next, I think we were lacking in a little bit of speed, and so with these next three, I just basically came in with the idea to just add a ton of speed and some interesting support too. We do have some ground resists or immunities per se in the landorus-t, which is obviously Sand Force, and the Azelf. So those two are going to be nice. Landorus-t, obviously not the flying type that you want to have. It's also probably not the ground type that you want to have either. But I kind of want to compress all this into one mon. It does get rocks, knock, U-turn. So I think it could actually be pretty supportive. But also hitting that speed above 100 is going to be really crucial for potential cleanup. Maybe, just getting some damage off initially and maybe paving the way for something like a G-Darm or a Venu or a Kommo-o, maybe Bullet Punch or Jet on the 2 priority users, or the other fast mons like Azelf. I think Azelf is going to be super good in Sun, just being able to spam flamethrowers because it does struggle with the steel types a little bit. Obviously, it's got a very diverse move pool, so just making that move pool a little bit stronger is going to be super cool. In the back, we do also have the Lipard, which is going to be another support mon, and it can also be a mon that gets up Sun. There's also some really funny things too, like, what's the move? Copycat. Maybe like I U-turn out with a mon, and then I copycat it or something like that. Or maybe like I knock off with a slow Lipard, and then I copy that with like Black Classers or something. So it like knocks off the next mon or something like that. Lots of cool little ways just to be able to deal damage or support the rest of the team. So Lipard at 2 points is really nice. It's also the dark type, which is kind of unfortunate, but we do have the Metagross and the Azelf, which can maybe handle those bulky psychics a little bit too. So overall, I think it's kind of a good synergy in the grand scheme of things. Last but not least, we do have 2 PGP winners. I guess they didn't win PGP, but they won games for me. Rotom and the Porygon. I used them in 2 different PGP teams, and they both did their jobs phenomenally. And especially at points like these, I just want to have them back in the team. We do have another ground immunity in the Rotom, and we do have another really defensive mon in the Porygon. I brought this up before with friends, but Porygon is such a bulky mon that people overlook. What's the calc? I think Life Orb +2 Earthquake Excadrill does like 80 to 90 to Porygon, and the Valplay just like return Okos. So Porygon, super cool. I love that mon. Being able to get in, get out, makes it a little less passive. Same with Rotom, being able to Wisp, being able to Hex, Pain Split, or Volt Switch. Those moves, I think, could be run on the same Rotom sets over and over with like different EV spreads, and they'll always get something out of it. So overall, some good mons in the back, and I feel like, in general, this is going to be a pretty fun team to use. There was no Polt, there's no Urshi, there's no Dracovish, I think, and there's also no Mew. So quite a few bans. That means that the top mons are going to be Koko, Lando, Torn-T, Selly, and Garchomp. And I feel like in terms of dealing with those, we do have Sun for the Torn-T, which I think is really nice. And we do have some good electric resists for the Koko. We might have to force our hands a little bit because obviously Lando-I, not Lando-t, is not the greatest switching to a Koko, but it is what is. In terms of Celesteela, we do have the firepower, no pun intended, to be able to deal with it. And then for the ground types, we have G-Darm, we have Azu, we have Venu, we have some pretty bulky mons that can handle the ground types. So overall, I feel like dealing with those top mons with a team like this is going to be pretty enjoyable. And whether we are using this team in Sun or outside of Sun, I feel like it's going to be able to get the job done in some games. So it's going to be really fun to use. We do have a game against Gert Bilbo in the Old English Ice Cubes next week, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, that'll wrap up this little draft analysis. I'll see you guys for that game. Peace.